All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm pleased that y'all have taken time out of your busy day to attend this presentation. Um, I hope that you'll find it as helpful to your business as it has been to mine. The goal that I want to accomplish for today, I want to present this sample listing presentation so that you can have supreme confidence delivering your listing presentation. You know, you walk in the door to that seller's home and you know you are ready and you have high confidence that you're going to be successful, get a listing agreement signed. And I believe people sense that confidence and it has a big impact on your ability to be successful. So to give you kind of some background on uh, this listing presentation that I've refined and it's become very effective, I, I was contacted by an agent out of Dallas who referred me to a seller in Sun City up there in Georgetown. I was competing against two agents who live and work in Sun City, and they were both offering a 5% commission. I won that listing with a 6% commission. So I think that speaks to how effective this is to be that competitive for people that live and work in that neighborhood. So my approach is to provide unimpeachable data that's focused on the market, the seller, and the property. When I announced this, someone made a comment about, oh yeah, this is good. Agents need to learn to sell themselves. I spend almost no time selling myself. It's all focused on providing good information to the seller and to make it easy for them to make a decision that's in their best interest. So I'll talk a little bit about how I started presenting listing presentations. My first aha moment that really, what's the word? It inspired me to change. We'll take a quick look at what our competition's doing, how I initially responded to that aha moment, my second big kind of revelation, and then finally we'll run through my listing presentation pretty quickly. So when I first started presenting listing presentations, I was with one of the big box brokerages, and I was paying a $400 monthly fee, doing 80-20 split, and I was getting nothing in return for value. The training that was provided was very infrequent. It was not high quality. And so when I started doing listing presentations, I showed up with a CMA. And that was it. I don't recall why I did that, but that's what I started with. So my first aha moment, I was sending out direct mail to executors of estates. And basically I was wearing my investor hat, my realtor hat, and the focus of the letter was, if you need to sell quick for cash, I can buy it. If you have time and you want to hold out for maximum return, then I can list the property. So I had a response to that, and they called me and said, hey, yeah, we'd love to talk to you. Come between 2 and 4 p.m. on Tuesday. That was my first clue. This is going to be different because there's this time frame. So I show up. There's 2 investors and a realtor there in addition to myself. Which one of these do you think is the realtor? This is actually an image of a band, but I thought it was cool. So the realtor was prepared with this really professional looking binder. And here I am with my, one-page CMA, and it's like, oh, this is bad. Yeah, I did not get the listing. I didn't have an opportunity to purchase the home. Went home with my tail between my legs going, I've got to do better. So let's look at what our competition is doing. You have the corporate and franchise presentations. This is actually available on Etsy. You can buy this for $20. And typically what you see with these corporate and franchise presentations, they're selling the franchise. They're selling the agent. And if you look at what it includes, all this stuff that is really pretty much focused on selling the franchise, selling the agent. I spent some time with this company, and if you look at their outline here, right off the bat, me, it's about me. It's about my company. It's about my testimonies. I've got a marketing plan, all this stuff that's focused on selling the franchise. So I see people use the Matrix CMA. I played with that to see if it would work for me. And it's okay. It's very basic, and it doesn't provide the same impact on what I've learned to do. RPR, I haven't looked at this in a long time. You can see by my picture down there in the bottom left, this was quite some time ago. Back when I was, my clients now are more rural. I'm telling you, the bow tie ain't going to float out here in the country. So when I became a rural agent, I transitioned over to something a bit more casual. But hey, it did make me stand out and look different. But anyway, RPR has got a pretty decent report. I played with it last night, generated an 81-page CMA. That's really a bit much. But there was a lot of good data, and there's a lot of flexibility to choose what you want. But again, it doesn't have the same impact of what I've been able to develop. So my initial change after, getting my tail between my legs was I ran across a broker's price opinion. I really liked the format, but it was really time consuming. And I can show you what that looks like. You don't hear much about BPOs right now. BPOs were very common back during the foreclosure days when banks didn't want to pay for an appraisal. They would just go out, they'd have an agent go out and do a BPO. So, you've got your basic information here, your general market conditions, the marketability of that property in that area. Go down. Adobe Acrobat is such a memory hog. I mean, this is a lot of good information on this first page. So on the second page, you'll recognize this from the second page of your typical appraisal, where they look at all the comps, look at the averages or the price per square foot, when they were sold, how many days on market, and then all the adjustments. And so I started using this and got better results. Down here, you get into what the marketing strategy is. Then you start looking at the properties that are active that you would be competing against. And I like this little area for a narrative here. So somehow along the way, I just felt like it was really important for sellers to be able to see the photos of the comps so they could visualize in their mind how their property compares. Is mine better than these? Is it worse? Is it about the same? I think it gives some real validity to your comps. The problem with this was that I had to go on the MLS, create a Word document, with this photo addendum, copy and paste all these photos in there. But I got pretty good results for it. But man, it took a lot of time. Then Cloud CMA came along. The Austin Board of Realtors offered Cloud CMA for free in 2016. I jumped on it. I loved it because it imported the property description, it imported all the pictures. It was a huge time saver for me. And a lot of the pages that you could add in there, I found a lot of value in. A year later, they decided not to provide that for free anymore. Cloud CMA is now a $350 subscription. And when I first learned that news, I was pretty unhappy about that. It's like, I don't want to be spending another 350 bucks a year. But then it dawned on me, that's what most agents are going to think. Most agents are not going to pay the money for this. It's going to give me a competitive edge. And so, yeah, I'm happy to pay the 350 every year. So after I started using Cloud CMA, I created a binder with tabs. So this is the, your typical 3-ring binder. I prepare this, take it with my listing presentation. This is the first page of Cloud CMA, and I've just inserted in the first cover. So over here, you can see I've got market stats, CMA, listings, analysis, pricing, marketing. Way at the end here, I talk about myself and Fathom very briefly, and then I finished up with testimonials. And so this home sales process, I've not been able to find anything, on the internet that talks about each step of selling a home. So I created this, and it's the very first thing I show them in my listing presentation. So my second aha moment, I don't know if you know Candy Cook. Candy is one of the best real estate trainers that I've ever encountered. She's based here in Austin, but teaches all over the state. And I attended her completing a CMA class, and it had a huge impact on how I complete my CMAs and do my listing presentation. So I transitioned to a 2-call listing presentation. Again, because I got tired of getting embarrassed. When I was doing the 1-call listing presentation, I would gather as much information as I could about the property off the internet. I would run the comps. I'd put together my little binder. I'd show up and be dismayed to learn that, or to see that the property condition was horrible. Tons of deferred maintenance, tons of clutter. My numbers were wrong. And so my credibility is just shot before I even get started. Conversely, when I was doing the 1-call listing presentation, the property would be way better than what I expected. And so again, my numbers were wrong. It's like, man, I got to stop doing that. So on the first call, it's focused on seller counseling and evaluating the property condition. And I'll get into that in more detail later. And then the second piece of it is the actual presentation of the listing agreement. I'm sorry, the listing presentation. So this is kind of the centerpiece of what Candy was teaching, getting back to kind of that BPO thing, where I fill out this document very thoroughly. And the results that I see from sellers is typically it's like, wow, you have really done your homework. And so it demonstrates attention to detail, competency, thoroughness. It makes a very positive impression. In order to fill this out correctly, that's a whole different class. And if y'all are interested in that, in the chat thing, just type in CMA class, and I'll be happy to teach that later. I also created this spreadsheet to help me fill out that CMA worksheet from the previous slide. I'm so lazy, I will work really hard to be lazy. And so this saves me a lot of time on calculations, and it just makes it real easy to do. I will point out something that I added about 2 months ago, and that is this market adjustment. With prices escalating so much, if you just go off comps that were sold 8, 10, 11 months ago, 12 months ago, your comps are going to be way below. And so I actually developed this little formula here. This was for, I think, a house in Pflugerville. In that zip code, the year-over-year appreciation was 42%. And so, basically what I did was took that 42% of the sales price of the comp price, adjust it to monthly, and then I used just a third of that when I calculated how long ago the sales was. So in this case, I actually adjusted it $51,000 because of the time because during that time it had gone up that much. And what I found using this is that would put my listing pretty much in the middle of the actives that we were competing against. So I thought it was a handy way to make a more accurate CMA, take into account the unusual market that we're in. This form is in the resources in IntelliAge. Basically, the yellow fields are all you fill in, everything else auto calculates. So the first call interview, the purpose of it is to establish rapport and evaluate that property condition for comps. So, and then schedule that second call for the full listing presentation. But you need to be careful about that. I have done the first call and they go, well, you're really not really looking to sell right now, maybe 3-6 months down the road. And so it's like, cool, I'll get back with you later. I get back later and guess what happened? Give me a guess. They listed with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I scheduled that second call within 48 to 72 hours, knowing that the numbers that I'm presenting then are going to be worthless in 3 to 6 months. But that's okay. I demonstrate my competency, my confidence, and I'll get the listing agreement signed, and we'll delay putting it on the MLS for 3 to 6 months. You can do that. So one of the things I enjoy about teaching and sharing information like this is actually my first call interview prior to last week was pretty much done from memory, and it was not ideal. And so when I thought about how am I going to share this with y'all, it's like, well, I better get this down. So basically it starts with the home tour. When I arrive on that first thing or on that first call, first thing I want to do is see the house. And this gives me an opportunity to develop some rapport with them. If I notice they've got pictures of fish, because they fish. I love to fish. It opens up the door to talk about fishing. People like to work with people who are like them. And so as you're going through the house, you're looking for obviously condition and amenities and that kind of stuff, but you're also looking for things that will allow you to connect with them on a personal level. And then of course, we're evaluating the property condition because that's going to be important for the comps. So after I walk through the house, we sit down and I tell them, the purpose of my visit today is to get to know you, to understand what your needs, wants, and expectations are, and to evaluate the condition of the house so that when I'm running my comps, I know what I'm comparing them to. So we have a brief discussion. I talk a little bit about my history, my experience, that kind of stuff, ask them about theirs, and then we move into really the seller counseling part. And it's important to emphasize how important it is to really listen. About 3 years ago, I did a listing presentation to a widow. She was selling over 50 acres of land. Her husband had accumulated tons of junk on that land. And, I gave my listing presentation. Another agent got that. And it's like, why did I miss that? Her biggest concern was getting that property cleaned up. She didn't want to have to mess with it. It would have cost me less than $1,000 to get a crew in there and clean that up. And if I'd have done that, I would have got that listing presentation. She told me, this is what I need, and I missed it. So really pay attention, because they will tell you what's the most important thing, and you can meet that need. So, we talk about the reasons and the motivation. I want to learn about their experience to know how in depth I need to go in the educational part. want to know about their previous experience with other agents, to kind of get a feel for where they're at with that, learn about what their expectations are. Then I need to know, do you have a copy of the survey? Are there any leased fixtures on the property? Solar panels, security systems, water softener, water treatment, all those things that we have to get that new addendum done for. And then I need to know what their mortgage balance is for the net sheet so that I can help them calculate their estimated net proceeds if we sell for the price that I recommend. And then finally, I asked to take some photos of the home to assist me in preparing my comps. I look at a lot of properties. There may be some time lapse, or I may not remember things about the house that I need for doing my comps. And then when I'm doing the input in the MLS, there's a lot of information there that I probably won't remember just from looking at the house. So I try to get photos of the home to help me with that. I want to get a picture of the front for the cover for my listing presentation. So I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions, comments, feel free to interrupt at any time.
Hey, Dan, you're cutting out a little bit.
Can
maybe people put their mic on mute? That might help.
Thank you, Rod.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit or bad?
I'm actually not having an issue with you cutting out at all, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I don't hear anything.
Just a little bit on my end, but maybe it's me.
All right. Thank you for that. So basically, that's the first call interview. Typically, this takes like 20 minutes. It's really pretty quick. And then I scheduled that second call within 48 to 72 hours. So the second call listing presentation, and this is actually a property that I have under contract right now. So I'd ask that you keep this information confidential. So I forgot to shoot pictures of the front of the house. So I had to use a satellite photo. So I've got my thing written down now. That won't be happening again. So the very first thing I do is when I open up this binder, on the pocket on the inside of the front cover are 2 copies of the IABS. And I explained to them, I'm regulated by the Texas Real Estate Commission and required to give you a copy of this document. I run through it. I have them initial it, and I leave the blank copy in the binder. I put the signed copy in my folder. So that's the first thing we do. And I think this communicates, if they've interviewed other agents, they're probably not doing this. And I think this communicates that, I'm a straight shooter and I play by the rules. The next page is the home sales process. And basically, depending on their level of experience, if they've sold, bought and sold several homes, I'm just going to briefly mention this, that they can go back and look at it later. If they're new and I sense that they want to learn more about this, we'll walk through it. In the interest of time, I'm not going to walk through it right now. I will point out that I do highlight the critical items that frequently cause contracts to terminate. You've got people terminating during the option period because they couldn't come to an agreement on repairs. You've got the appraisal that can come in low, and then you have the buyer that doesn't get their loan approved. Those are the big 3 things, just kind of preparing them for that. Then, I send you all this market report every month, and I've integrated that into my listing presentation. So let's look at the macro view of what's happening in the Austin real estate market. And so, I just go through this page by page and briefly talk about, what's going on region-wide with the market. So this demonstrates that I know the market. I am a local market expert. I have competency here. I'm providing you good information to help you understand what the market is and help you make good decisions. Then I go from the macro view, I zoom in a little bit. Here is the zip code detail. This is for Bastrop. And I focus on existing homes, single family, 40% appreciation year over year. Median price 405. The list price to sales price ratio 101. Days on market 23. Now we're going to zoom in even closer, and we're going to look at the active listings in the subdivision. This is what you're competing against. Do you think this is valuable information for a seller? Yeah. So briefly, just I don't go into a lot of detail. We do talk about the average and the medians for what we're seeing on this. Then we get down to the actual CMA on the subject property. I always try to use 3 good solid comps. You get higher than that, I think it gets a little confusing. I don't think it's quite as accurate. I will definitely include active properties if there are active comps. It's not uncommon in today's market that in the subdivision that nothing else is selling. So you can see here that these closed listings, the average sales price is 435, the median's 440. If you just went in and did a listing agreement and marketed this at 440, it would sell really fast, but the seller would be losing money. And I'll show you how. So the next page in the presentation is what a CMA. Basically explain it's a snapshot in time. We're looking at what reasonable buyers and reasonable sellers are doing in your neighborhood, as close to your home as possible, as similar as possible, and in the most recent history as possible. CMAs can vary depending on agents' experience, the tools they use, their perception of the market. You get 5 agents in here, you'll probably get 5 different CMAs. CMAs are different from appraisal. With a CMA, we're just trying to determine what's the appropriate list price for the property. When you get into appraisals, basically the lender is trying to determine risk on making a loan for this property. They go into much more detail than we do. It's a whole higher level of analysis. So that's kind of the difference between a CMA and an appraisal. So the next tab goes to the listings. I really like this little map. Here's our subject property, and our comps are in the same subdivision. They're pretty close. I feel comfortable about the accuracy of these numbers because we're in the same neighborhood and they're pretty tight. So then it goes into the details of each property. Cloud CMA imports this picture. It imports all this information, the features. It imports the public remarks. I typically highlight, this house has the same number of beds, baths as yours. The square footage is very close. The lot size is very close. This is a good tight comp. It's sold in 2 days. Then you get into the photos. Cloud CMA imports these, and the seller gets to visualize how their property compares with the comparables. And then Cloud CMA has this page for price adjustments. And basically, the only adjustment I had to make on this one, because it was a good solid comp, was I made the market adjustment for 10 months being in the past. So it actually sold for 420. I adjusted it 51,000 for a comparable price of 471. The percent change is 12%. I like to keep below 10 to keep it accurate, but with this insane market that we're in, that doesn't work too much these days. So we go through each one of the comps. So this one, it had a view for the woods. So I deducted for that. It didn't have any, it didn't have a fence, so I added for that. And then another 10-month market adjustment. It actually sold for 445. Through my adjustments, it came up to 493. That's a big difference. So this is one of the automatically generated cloud CMA documents. Just shows the summary. This shows what the lowest price was, what the highest price was, your averages. This one looks at the list price to sales price ratio. And one of the things I don't like about this is these are my adjusted numbers. I wish it had the real numbers in there, but regardless, it does provide a perspective. Then we get into the pricing tab. And I talk about how if you list your house at market value, 60% of people who are looking in the area will come look at your home. If it's just 10% overpriced, that interest is going to drop in half. Conversely, if you underprice it, it's going to increase quite a bit. So pricing it intelligently is important. This graph shows that when a property first goes on the market, interest builds pretty quickly and then starts falling off quickly here. In today's market, this is more accurate. That first week it goes on the market, interest comes up very quickly, drops off very quickly. Because of the market we're in, basically all this is pushed over to the left here. Offers are coming in more quickly. You've got a quicker rise and a quicker fall. Then I talk about the issue of overpricing, where if you list too high, the market value is here. You list too high, nothing happens. They do a price reduction. By the time, it's got the stigma of being stale. By the time it actually sells, they've lost all this value. They've lost all that time. So we want to make sure that even in this crazy seller's market, it's so important to price it correctly. Then I display my CMA worksheet and basically talk about, these were the actual prices, price per square foot. This is where I got my data from. The adjustments on this one was just the adjustment for how long ago it sold. This one, I made an adjustment for the lot. I made an adjustment for the fireplace. This one had view of woods where the others did not, so I deducted for that. It had no fence, so I added for that. So these are my adjusted, and then I use a weighted average. You get a much more accurate averaging when you use weighted averaging, where I chose the most similar comp, multiplied it by 3. The next one, multiplied it by 2, and the least similar, multiply it by 1, average those out. That's where you get the weighted average. So my recommendation on the sales price was $480,000. Cloud CMA does not include this, so it's something I have to add in there. You have to put it in there. This is an estimated sales price. It's not the same as an appraisal. I mean, you have to have the disclaimer in there, so I add it. So the cloud CMA was suggesting a list price of $478. I felt $480 was more accurate. This is a net sheet. I've not found a good net sheet from Verus Title. I would like to promote our sister company, but I'm not seeing it yet. So I'm still using the one from Capital Title. You've got, their existing loan payoff, their taxes, the commission. This was a 4% commission. Are you familiar with Clever? Clever markets to sellers with the 4% thing. They'll send them to you. They're ready to go. You've got to do the listing presentation. It's really easy. I'll do Clever listings at 4%. I've got 3 of them working right now. So you've got your title company fees. I include a home warranty. You got the tax proration. So if we sell at 480, she should expect to net 302. So I get into my marketing plan. I go through this line by line, step by step. In the interest of time, I won't do that. I do point out these are the things that I do that many other agents don't do. I'm differentiating myself. I'm demonstrating high value. I'm going to do professional photos. I'm going to provide them that checklist so they know what to expect and they can track how the transaction is progressing. That was the very first page of the presentation. For sale sign, yeah, all this stuff is pretty much. Would you believe 52% of new home searches are now on YouTube? It's huge. And so I'm going to do a YouTube video. I'm going to purchase YouTube ads. And that's something that I think maybe 30% of us are doing. Most agents aren't doing that. I'm going to create Facebook ads to target more buyers. I'm going to use, Fathom provides a single property website. And so I'm going to create a website specific for the property. I'm going to set up showing time. Showing time is much more convenient for the seller and for the agent. That allows you to track your showings. That's important for the weekly report that I do. I create a showing book. So another binder that's got the MLS, the seller's disclosure notice, the survey, the T47, lots of information, excuse me, available for the buyer's agent, for the buyers. An open house. I asked them, why do you think agents hold open houses? And they go, well, I guess to sell the house. It's like, yeah, that's part of it. 9% of the time, open houses will sell the home. But honestly, realtors hold open houses because we want to connect with unrepresented buyers. And so I have mentees who need to connect with buyers. So if you don't mind us holding an open house, I'd appreciate that. If you'd rather not, that's fine. But I give them that option. So I talk about following up with buyers agents after showings to solicit offers and feedbacks. Your typical listing agent, they put it on the MLS and you don't hear anything else. They don't follow up with buyers agents. And when I do, I ask two simple questions. Do you have any questions? Is there anything we can put a deal together? At the very least, hopefully I get some feedback that'll be valuable. Review the list price based on feedback and conditions. This one's huge. I provide a weekly market activity report. The biggest complaint that sellers have against listing agents is we come out, we do the listing presentation, we drop the sign in the yard, we put it on the MLS, and then we go dark. They don't hear from us. They don't know what's going on. So my response to that is every week they get an email from me, a week after it went on the market. It shows them how many people called me with interest, how many showings we had and what the feedback was, how it's performing on the MLS. If you look on your homepage of the MLS, you'll see hit counters. When you have active listings, every day you can see how many people are, how many times it's showing up in searches, how many times people are looking at the details, how many agents are looking at it, how many agents are sending it to their buyers. It's really good information. I'm going to show them how it's performing on Zillow, on Realtor.com, how my YouTube ads doing, how my Facebook ads doing. It's a comprehensive report that makes it really clear how it's performing. And frequently, before I was doing these weekly market reports, I wouldn't take overpriced listings. I didn't want my sign sitting in the yard for 6 months and make it look like I couldn't sell a house. So doing this weekly report, they'll see the activity go up real quick. And if we're overpriced, it'll drop real fast, or there may not be much activity at all. And frequently, they're the ones that go, maybe we should do a price reduction. That's a totally different dynamic than me going, well, it's not moving, so we should probably do a price reduction. Where's the data to support that? It's just my opinion, unless I have this weekly report that shows exactly how the market's responding. So that's pretty much that sheet. Then I talk about what they need to do to market the property. In this case, it was amazing. I walked into this house, it was show ready. There was no deferred maintenance. There was no clutter. It was ready for photos day one. That was a nice surprise. So in this case, I did not recommend any repairs or any updates. So the other piece of the marketing is the things that they needed to do, prepare for showings and for the open house. And so it's just a little checklist to help them understand what they need to do to keep the house show ready. This is the only thing I talked about Fathom. Fathom started in 2010 in Dallas. We're now over 8,000 agents in 38 states. We're growing really big because we're a great company. That's all I say. Here's my resume. I'm interviewing for a job. And so here's my professional profile, my areas of expertise, my professional experience. I don't spend any time on it. I just tell them it's there because I'm leaving this with them and they can look at it later. Then my client testimonials, I tell them that here's sellers who think I'm a rock star, and you can read these later. Then I ask my closing question. What else do you need to know before moving forward? And typically it's like, wow, I think you covered it really well. I think we're ready to go. So the listing agreement. If I know I'm competing with other agents, in the back pocket of the folder is a listing agreement that has the stuff pre-filled out, like, the broker and, things that are going to be common to every, I don't fill the whole thing out. If I'm competing and I'm concerned about them going with another agent, I'll do it right there. That's pretty rare. More often I tell them, great, when do you want to list? And we talk about those kinds of details. I'm gonna go back to the office. I'm gonna prepare a draft listing agreement. I'm gonna email that to you. We can talk about it. If there's anything that needs to be changed, I'll do that. Then I'll send it to you for electronic signatures and we'll move forward. So
I have a question then.
Good.
So if they say I need to think about it, I need to sleep on it, what do you say in this case?
So help me understand what it is that you need to think about. Is it the price? What is it that you need to think about?
Well, we're the type of people, it's a big decision. We don't jump into making such a big decision and to commit to something. We just need kind of just to process it, and then we would get back with you and let you know.
How much time do you think you'll need?
We'll be able to give the answer tomorrow.
Okay, great. Could I call you at 10 in the morning?
How about 2 p.m.?
2 p.m. is great. I'll talk to you then.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm not going to pressure people to sign right now. When I get pressured, turns me off, it throws up my defenses, and it totally changes the dynamic. In my opinion, I've done a great job of helping them understand what the market is. I have rock solid confidence in my list price because I've done my work, and I think that perceived that. It's rare that I get objections. The think about it thing, I do get that on occasion. That's fine. I'm not going to pressure that.
Do you mostly present to somebody who recommended you or to strangers?
Both. The clever leads that I'm getting, these are total strangers. The majority of my business in the last 5 years, I'm referred by people I know or the seller, someone I know.
I'm just curious how much trust we have when they say, I need to think about it. versus shopping us, using the information they got to shop around and to get 0.5% off on the commission or something like that. Or, as you know, some agents would offer higher sales price in order to get the listing and just sit on it and to use it as a buyer bait, right? They get free buyer leads of that listing that's sitting on the market.
Yeah,
And
so sellers are typically pretty smart. And if an agent comes in and says, oh, I can get you 525 for this, when I just showed them very detailed data that shows it's not going to fly, I think they'll recognize that. And ask me if I'll cut my commission.
well, I have someone who's offering 4%.
Okay,
Would
well,
you do that?
I can match that if you'll pay it in advance.
So it's non-refundable in this case.
No,
Okay, what's your deal? So you would do 4% if it's non-refundable?
yeah,
Okay. Non-refund, mental note, non-refundable commission. Okay, I've lost several listings because somebody just, agent came and just, several agents actually, several listings when they came and they said completely unrealistic sales price. And the listing was sitting like for 9 months, not selling. And eventually they sold for the price I told them. And there were others, same thing, 6 months on the market until the market caught up. And yeah, so for me, it was a big deal losing those listings to agents who would say unrealistic sales price, even higher than what the sellers wanted.
yeah. That's not happened to me since I've refined this.
Okay.
Typically, they see the value. I mean, that's why that lady in Sun City, she could have gone with local agents at 5%. Why did she choose me at 6%? She
Well,
saw the value.
they have to trust you what you say, because if they truly believe some agent has some magic tricks in their sleeve and they get 100,000 more, people get greedy. So
No,
I
that,
think it's a trust, building the trust, huge deal.
yep, I agree. And that goes back to, developing that rapport, finding common interests, developing that trust.
True. So if they say, okay, you want upfront, but the other person offers 4% and they don't require upfront.
Okay, I would ask that you compare their marketing plan and you compare their data and look and see which one of those makes the most sense to you.
All right. Well, I don't honestly, I even don't use marketing plan. I'll be honest with you. I approach it differently. I just say, well, when you come to the doctor doesn't tell you you need like arm cast, aspirin, surgery on your appendix, and something like headache medicine. Doesn't prescribe everyone because every situation is different. If you want average results, you can go with the agent who has the standard marketing plan, and they even probably wouldn't do half of the things they promise you. If you want outstanding results, it has to be specifically designed for unique property, for unique buyer, because you can be chasing squirrels or find that big bear who will pay you the most money. Do you want a squirrel or do you want a bear? And so I don't use the marketing plan because somebody will have 100-point marketing plans, and that will make, what will I say then? You know what I'm saying? So I have completely different approach when it comes to marketing plan. I don't advertise 25 points, 50 points, 100 points marketing plan.
Whatever works for you. And I'm not saying that the way I do it is a one size fit all. I'm presenting how I do it to give you some ideas and to
Oh,
show you where there's some tools.
I'm not criticizing you whatsoever. No,
No,
don't
no,
take it
I understand.
that way.
No,
I
not at all.
I just figured out that I have hard time to beat somebody who has 10 more points on their marketing plan. Like, I brought you marketing plan and somebody already dropped off their marketing plan that 10 points longer. Like, what am I going to do now? So I have to come up with my own idea how to get out of that situation. So,
Well, I'd use the written marketing plan, so that I have a systematic way to present the
Sure.
information, and I'm differentiating myself.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
YouTube ads that you buy, like, I don't know how many agents can say they do that. So the more eyes on the property, it's like action, right? Auction. The more people bidding, the higher the price will go. So it's a great thing. I don't do that, so I need to do that. The YouTube ads. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, give me just a second here. We've got a few minutes left. Ta-da-ta-da-ta-da.
Dan, real quick, I'm sorry. I have a quick question if you can talk about Open Door and products like that and how to respond to, I'm obviously, like, very new at this. So how do you respond to somebody who says, well, Open Door offered me this?
Right now, Open Door and those other places, well, they're starting to get away from it. But there was a point in time where they were offering stupid high, way above market value. And I can't get them that off the MLS. It's like, if Open Door will pay you $100,000 more than it's worth, and my CMA is going to make adjustments for the market. If houses are selling for 100,000 over list, I mean, that's going to show up, and I'm going to factor that in. If Open Door is going to pay you that much stupid money, you should take it.
But you don't see that Zillow did that. And I had several agents all over the country telling me they offered 50, 70,000 what market price would be. And the sellers literally would cancel last moment with these agents, and they would go with Zillow, but it was a short period of time. And after that, Zillow couldn't liquidate those homes. They overestimated the value, and we saw Zillow selling actually lower, trying to liquidate it quickly. And also you can ask the sellers, Mr. Seller, so if Open Door in this market, they're more realistic. In this, how do you think that business model makes money? They either have to find some stupid buyer who overpays, and buyers want a deal, they don't want to overpay, they shop around, they compare, or they have to give you less money than what your property is worth. They pretty much flipping homes. Would you like to sell your home for less?
There's two types of investors. There are investors who invest in cash flow or forced appreciation. I buy a house that's in really bad shape. I fix it up. I force the appreciation. It's worth more money. I can flip it. Or I'm buying it for the cash flow. And then you have speculators. Tons of speculators right now in Austin. They're banking on the value going up. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, they're in trouble. They're going to lose money. Some people have deep pockets and afford to do that. Most people don't. Real quick, I will show you my YouTube video for this listing.
Dan, let me just mention real quick that one of the things with Open Door, if you dig into it, and I think Orchard as well, there are fees.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, fees. We forgot that.
Like the longer the house sits on the market, the more fees are accumulated for the seller. And by the end of the time that they're ready to sell, they because they're overpricing these homes so much, and some of these Open Door homes are exclusive listings where they don't offer a commission. And so the house just sits, so because no buyer agent's going to take their buyers to go check it out. And so they're accumulating these fees every month that house sits on the market. So that's one of the ways I got some words, corporate companies are are abusing sellers on their end. And the other thing I would say is how much do you love your neighbors? Do you really like your neighbors? You really love your community. Yeah. Why do you ask? Well, because Open Door most likely is going to allow this house to sit on the market uncared for 6 months. How much do you love your house? And then your neighbors are going to be angry with you because the pool goes into disarray, the fence goes into disarray, the house isn't kept up, and then it just creates issues for your HOA and your neighbors, and then they blame you for that in the end. I mean, I think that's a pretty powerful presentation to get them back to the local agent.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Todd. The other thing is,
Yes.
you've got an offer from Open Door. Would you like for me to do a net sheet for you to see how that's going to turn out? So then you get to see it, and there's the marketing convenience fee of $25,000. I've seen those. So people have a tendency to overlook that. Let's compare their net with my net, and if their net's higher, good luck.
Dan, it's even better. You know what I was thinking? First of all, they hammer the sellers on the inspection once they're done. They say, well, we didn't know the condition of the home so bad, so they can change the number. But there is another thing. You can say, Mr. Seller, that is wonderful. You already got something in hand. Let's put it on the market and see if we can get you better.
Very good.
You can know only the true value in the open market, but you already have something. You have some peace of mind to kind of plan B to fall back on. So I think it's actually, in a way, to some extent, it's advantage, because sellers get greedy, like, oh, I can get more. Let's see what we can get.
Yep. Fortunately, most sellers are reasonably smart people who have good logic and figure things out. Any other questions, comments, anything you're doing in your listing presentation I can learn from?
Dan, you mentioned Clever. Can you talk about that real quick?
Sure. Clever markets to sellers and to buyers. Their hook for a buyer is a commission rebate. And so, taking a 4% listing, and they charge a 25% referral fee on that 1% you're getting. But this is easy peasy. I mean, the seller is already kind of mentally bought in. I'm only paying 4% instead of 6%. I'm saving this ton of money. And then I come in and go, look at this awesome value you're getting for a discount. It's a slam dunk. So yeah, you can research Clever. You can apply. I don't think they take everybody. I'm not real sure. Jennifer Rosal, our top producing agent, with 46 transactions, 20-some million dollars worth of volume last year. That's how I learned about Clever, reviewing her Clever transactions.
Is it clever.com or is there another URL?
Gosh, I don't remember.
I'll look it up. I'm sure I can find it.
All right, I'll close out with my video, my YouTube video for this listing that just went under contract. I shot this with my iPhone. I use, what is it called? A DJI gimbal that the phone sits in to eliminate the bouncing around in the shots, to make them kind of, to give you some stabilization. And, you're not supposed to capture your image in mirrors and that kind of stuff. So I use Wondershare Filmora to do editing, to take out stuff when I make a mistake. As you watch this, you'll see a couple instances where the video kind of jerks a little bit. That's because I had to edit out a mistake. But this is what it looks like. This is
nice.
at double speed. No, it's 1.5 times faster than what I shot it at to make it a little more quicker. I don't know how well the sound's going to work here.
Wow, nice house.
It does give the feel for the layout instantaneously. There is no picture that can
Right.
show it as well,
Nice.
that well. Mm.
You have music playing behind this, Dan?
Todd, you could get some of your heavy metal stuff happening in there. It would really liven up that whole video and make it really exciting, man. Just
Oh my gosh. Way to just throw me out there, Rod. I appreciate it. Anyway, if you do upload videos,
That mirror was hard to avoid.
yeah, when you do upload videos like this, you can actually go into YouTube and they have a whole bank of user soundtracks that
Yep.
they've approved that you don't have to get a license for, and you can just throw the music in behind this. It's pretty cool.
you can do that with iMovie too as well.
Thank you, guys. I'm so bad with this stuff. I don't know any of it, but I really want to do the videos. And I didn't know about the music. I can use it for free.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to run, Dan. So thank you very much.
Nice.
Any other comments? I didn't hear your comments during the video because I had the sound up. I got the heavy metal stuff. I try to match the music to the property.
That's what I was asking, if you had music behind that. So
Yeah,
we could hear it.
sellers
Hey, Dan.
love these.
Dan, will a copy of this, a recording of this be available to us?
I'm going to put it on a Google Drive and email out a link.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it because I've had a lot going on while I've been trying to watch this. Okay.
So Dan, all the documents, which ones are on IntelliAgent Resources? You said that, I know it was big Excel spreadsheet for calculations.
So the notes and handouts from Candy Cook's classes in there, the Excel spreadsheet, I do my calculations, the CMA worksheet where you do all the adjustments, all that kind of stuff. I think I've pretty much put all of it up on there except for the actual listing presentation itself. I should have mentioned, I put a lot of custom pages into Cloud CMA, way above what their normal stuff is. But I mean, it's, you know, my marketing plan, the net sheet, the sheet on Fathom, my resume, that second thing on intelligent pricing, I put a lot of custom stuff in there. I like the fact that, man, I can't stand things where it's canned, here it is, you can't edit it. I don't have much tolerance for those because
So on Cloud CMA, what you're saying is you can upload personalized documents, keep them in a template or something of that nature, and then print it all out as the new listing presentation and include your documents in it.
yeah, the repairs and upgrade sheet that was blank, because I mean that video that's the way that house looked when I walked in the front door to start with. There was nothing needed to be done, but
Wow.
that's a custom sheet that I put in. You can open it in, let me think, it's in a Word doc, but I can open it in Cloud CMA, edit it, close it out, and it does it. I mean, Cloud CMA is just awesome.
Cool.
What's the cost for that?
$350 a year. When it went from being free, provided by the board, to having to pay for it, I looked at a lot of them. You can tell I'm a spreadsheet fiend. I developed a spreadsheet for all the different alternatives and mapped out what the cost and pros and cons and features and all that kind of stuff was. And I stuck with Cloud CMA. The other ones that I compared against typically were for presentation on a laptop or a tablet. And I've presented this listing presentation, the old school printed out binder, to millennials, and they enjoy it as much as anybody else.
I know you're not a huge fan of RPR, but RPR has pretty presentable materials too for listing presentation.
I agree. If Cloud CMA went away and I was forced to go somewhere else, RPR would probably be my second choice. But again, they have one photo of the comp. That's it. And I think that's really important that they get to see all the pictures so that they can, in their mind, understand how theirs compares to the other solds.
Sure. Well, I use Photoshop. If anyone is good with Photoshop, they can do anything they want to. They just need to throw one page.
Well, the thing that got me so excited about Cloud CMA, I was doing all this manual editing stuff. And then suddenly Cloud CMA is just importing all that in. It was a huge time saver.
Yeah. Well, RPR might be, once we shift and eventually in buyer's market, RPR might be good also for buyer to show the neighborhood data. That's pretty neat.
Well, remember, we bought Live By, so you can do some really nice neighborhood reports from that. Cloud CMA does have the buyer tour feature as well as the CMA for sellers. So yeah, there's lots of alternatives. I think anything you use for buyers is going to put you ahead of your competition. I don't think a lot of people do much prep on the buyer side.
Keeping current matters, their guides, spring, summer, fall, winter, buyer guides, seller guide, PDF, email.
No, that's an awesome site. There's great content there.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all for attending this. If you're interested in a class on the CMAs, a class on how to shoot the videos, just let me know. I'm happy to do it.
CMA. CMA.
Right, CMA.
Okay.
CMA.
Okay. Well, a good self-study thing, go into a tell agent, go to the Fathom tab, go to resources and look for Candy Cook's CMA stuff, and the notes there are great. But yeah, filling out that worksheet, that's, I'll do a class on that. Would you prefer that?
You know
live?
how many times I tried And then I just forget. It's just so much information. I forget. I start getting confused with all of that.
Yeah,
So-
typically it takes me about 4 hours to prepare my listing presentation. So would you prefer that CMA class to be in person or online?
In person.
In person.
Okay,
Sure, I'm open to in person. That's great.
okay. Most of y'all are up north, so maybe we'll do it up north somewhere.
Okay.
Very good.
If,
All right.
Hey,
if we
Dan.
do central, we can do somewhere central just to be fair to everyone, because maybe somebody would want to attend, but because it's such a long drive, they will pass. But if it's possible, even I don't know if it's possible to do centralized. Can we do it from A board just to reserve the room or something?
That's still kind of north.
Well, I'm in Georgetown, that's north.
Yeah, I can probably find someplace more central.
I don't know. It's probably too far northwest, but I have a good relationship. Well, I know you do too as well, Dan, but Austin Title, I list with them all the time. She said that I could have a courtesy room for notary, so I'm wondering if she'd give me a courtesy room for this.
The last orientation I did for new agents, I did at Austin Title there off Hester's Crossing. And that was a real nice room, worked out really well. They've got a real big screen TV where I can, project my presentation. I may use that. I don't know if Trinity Title still has their office up in Georgetown. They've got a classroom that'll seat about 20. It's really nice. So and until Verus Title gets a physical office here, it's kind of challenging.
But then you can do Zoom and just mute it. So we hear your voice in the room, but we look at our screens and see what you're doing on your screen if we brought our laptops. So you might not even need the big screen. Just an idea.
Yeah. Cool. All righty, well, thanks for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to email, call, text, whatever. I hope you can sense I'm pretty passionate about this, and I'm delighted to share. And now
Thanks,
we're-
Dan.
You're welcome. We're
Thank you.
15 minutes over, signing
you.
off.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.